Yeah, I mean, I always tell people 10 to 14 business days. Now,
Okay.
the worst one I ever encountered was two guys on a handshake deal and literally brought me a piece of paper where they wrote out their contract. And come to find out, the seller couldn't even sell the property because it was his mother's and it had to be probated. And the
Oh,
problem
man.
was the mom had 12 bail liens on the
Oh, my
property.
gosh.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the Investor Fuel Podcast. I am your host, Cody Crabb. Today I'm joined by Chris Lefebvre. He's with First Choice Title Company in Maine. He works closely with real estate investors. He's done lots and lots of closings. He knows what he's talking about. So we're going to get him to talk about the role that title companies play when it comes to real estate deals, how they can help, and what you can do to make that happen for yourself. And Chris, thanks so much for joining us here.
Hey, well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, of course. Now, I always like to ask about people's origin story because in this business, it's not typically something that kids had on their, when I grow up, I want to be it's not a firefighter or an astronaut. So out of curiosity, like how did you get into the title business?
If you had said that out of college, this is what I'd be doing many years later, I would have laughed at you. So after I graduated college, I moved down to Florida. I worked for Walt Disney World Resorts for 8 years, and COVID hit. So unfortunately, my job was eliminated, and I was looking for another opportunity. I called around, and I had an interview for a job with the Boston Bruins. And I called home and told my dad, hey, I'm up for this job with the Bruins. And he said, well, hell, if you're going to apply for jobs in New England, I know a title company that would hire you, which is fantastic. But it's the first time in 20 years he ever said that.
Wow.
So 6 weeks later, I found myself in a U-Haul moving home. And now I get to work with my dad and his longtime business partner ever since he got in the title game. So it's been a blessing.
Yeah, that's great. And it sounds like this was meant to be. The timing was right and things just happened to work out there.
Yeah.
So what does the company focus on mostly today?
So we're a full service title company. So the way I always explain it to people is when you buy a property, my job is to make sure you own it. Or if you're a wholesaler, my job is to make sure your buyers and sellers get to the table. And again, make sure the buyer owns the property, but also, make sure you get paid.
Pretty important part of the
W-
process, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, we were also a couple years ago, we ended up buying a company called Merchants Reporting Services. And what they do is your typical one owner search on a property. But for lenders, we also offer a monthly mortgage report where we go county by county. And in Maine, there's only 16, so that's nice. But everyone that writes a mortgage in that county goes on a report, and then we can break it down to what was the average of that mortgage and how many were written, so where you stand county by county in the state of Maine. So yeah, we're a full service title company.
Yeah, that's neat. The mortgage Yeah. Well, I think that sounds like it would be very, very helpful. So now working in the title business, you probably see so many deals constantly and see kind of the back end maybe about, or the behind the scenes maybe of some of these kind of the classic mistakes that you see investors make. I would be curious to ask, what do you see that's like, oh, not this again. We're seeing this mistake again. It's like a silent, like, this is probably not going to go well.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Ken has been very creative, and he's been excellent to learn from, especially being my dad. But one of the most common obstacles, if you want to call it, is, Maine being a small town state, that I like to call it. These neighbors, or when somebody bought a property, the seller gave them, said, "Oh, I'll loan you, let's say $10,000 on a handshake deal," and then they wrote up a private mortgage. Well, it's safe to say that, that type of deal from 1980 has been paid back, but then nobody files a discharge. So it becomes our job to trace down, and, sometimes in that case, that person has passed. So we have to trace down, okay, who can sign for them? And
Yeah.
if they're still even in the state. So we have to chase them down and say, hey, can you sign this mortgage? And explain to them why they're signing on behalf of this person. But that's the most common one. But, nothing too crazy that we can't solve.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is pretty wild already. Like, that's if you're running into those, I mean, I'm glad that you kind of know how to handle that. So in that case, like, so let's talk about when a deal actually reaches your desk. Like, can you give me kind of the scaffolding of, like, how does that actually work until closing? Like, what does the process look like?
Yeah. So when someone sends me a purchase and sale, we have a process that we, make sure it's all put into ours so we can track it down the line. But really the first step is calling it the towns to make sure taxes are all up to date on their end. And then I'll take a quick look at the legal description to see if any red flags jump out at me really quickly. Then it goes to our abstractor. He'll do a 40-year search on the property. So it's 40 years, 2 owners. Or we can look through the company that we underwrite for, which is First American Title. We can see if there's a back title on the property. And if there is, he can start from there. So he loves those. But if not, he has to go back 40 years or 2 owners, whichever comes first. As long as from there, he generates a report for me, and I'll type up the title commitment. So after that, it goes to our attorney. He takes a look at it and kicks it back to us. Once it gets back to us, then we have a game plan on when are we going to get this closed, and keeping everybody abreast of the situations, and what do we need to chase down. So is there a mortgage on the property? Well, then we need the seller's information, get payoffs. Are there tax liens on it? Are there writs of execution on it? So that's when we start gathering information, what we need to get everybody to the closing table. If there's nothing crazy that we need to chase down, and especially if it's a cash deal, hey, I'm ready to close. When are we ready? When can I get you guys to the table?
Cool. Okay. That's good to know. So if you've got kind of these extra things hanging out on the property, might be wise to kind of bring some extra documentation and make sure everything is well kind of researched and things beforehand, I'm assuming.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors. and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Yeah, in the process, and I skipped over this, if it's a traditional where there are real estate agents involved, I'll send them a questionnaire because I need to know what their commission information is. On the investors or wholesalers side, for the seller, I may need to know your name and your social security number and have you sign it on a piece of paper, because if I'm sending it to a bank, they need to know I have your permission to speak on your behalf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then lately, with some new regulations that came down from FinCEN, or the Financial Crimes Enforcement Agency that came about, if it's LLCs or businesses that are entering into these transactions, well, the government wants to know that you obtained that money by legal means. So they
Reasonable.
may have some information for you.
Yeah.
So First American has partnered with a company that they do that for you. So as long as we have your name and email, and then they want a copy of the contract, they'll reach out and get that information, do everything for you. So that way they can give the green light on it, which means the government gave the green light on it, so we can get everyone to the closing table.
That's good. Yeah. And it's, as you know, I mean, obviously people sometimes need that process to happen as quickly as possible. So, what kind of on the best of circumstances, let's give it like a window, like on best of circumstances, worst of circumstances, what kind of time frame can someone expect? Like if they're really in a rush, and are you like, don't even bother if it's like really, really we're in a rush, or is it like, make sure you do these things first?
So before FinCEN, it was if you got me a purchase and sale and it went through abstracting and nothing came back on the property, I've stayed here till 8 o'clock with my dad pumping out documents, and we've closed it the next morning.
Wow.
Now that's a very rare
Optimistic.
occurrence.
Yeah.
Yeah. With FinCEN now, if it meets the FinCEN requirements, it's going to be at least 72 hours. So at
Okay.
least 3 days for me to get the green light from them and pump out documents.
Gotcha. Okay. So try to plan on at the very most optimistic 72 hours. What's like the we ran into some problems, like that kind of window, just to kind of give people an idea of, if I'm looking for this to go through, how long do I need to make sure like what's the maximum? And obviously probably not maximum, because there's probably some extreme case out there, but like, you know what I mean? Like if it's on the long side.
Yeah, I always tell people 10 to 14 business days. Now,
Okay.
the worst one I ever encountered was two guys on a handshake deal and literally brought me a piece of paper where they wrote out their contract. And come to find out, the seller couldn't even sell the property because it was his mother's and it had to be probated. And the problem was the mom had 12 bail liens on the property.
Oh my gosh.
So, and they were from like the 90s. So according to him, those were all paid, but the state hadn't discharged them. So it was working with the courts to get all these old documents. That took 3 months.
I'm surprised it didn't take longer based on that description. Holy cow. That's wild.
Yeah, so that's the worst one I've encountered. But
Well,
typically I say 10 to 14 days. If nothing is crazy on it, I can get it closed earlier.
Okay, that's good to know. Wow, that's a lot. I can't. What you literally one piece of paper, like saying, "Hey, here's like deal was made, sign signature." Like that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, buyer, seller, price, signatures, and to cover my own butt, I was like, no. So I typed one up for them, had them sign it, and they got it back to me. But yeah, that was a long process.
That's like a post-it contract. That's wild. Yeah. So it's good to know though that like a really complex situation like that is not going to deter you. Like that's still workable. Like we're going to figure it out kind of thing. Because I think some people kind of look at a messy situation and they just are like, let's not do this. Let's not bother.
Yeah. Well, I always look at it like this, where if it's not me that fixes it, it's going to be somebody else. But because Maine, sorry for the truck passing.
You're good.
So if it's not me fixing it, it's going to be somebody else. But Maine's such a small town state where eventually it's going to be my problem. So why not just fix it now?
Let's do it. Let's do it from the beginning. Yeah. So let's kind of zoom out. Our audience is full of real estate investors, obviously. So I'd love to kind of get let's zoom out a little bit maybe, and like, what are you seeing in the market right now that you think might be helpful for people to know?
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Now New England itself is kind of a different market.
Yeah.
From, especially when I talk to some friends of mine that still live in Florida and have gotten into the real estate game, they can go year round. New England, nobody wants to show a property when there's 6 feet of snow on the ground. And, it
Yeah.
makes it a little bit more difficult. Well,
Yeah, I'm from Salt Lake
yesterday it was
City. I can
78 degrees.
absolutely understand the whole let's not do this now. Can we wait till March, please? Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. So, I mean, and typically around the holidays, it slows down anyway. But then with New England, you got to get through the winter. We're now, March 11th? And yesterday it was 70 degrees out. So if you're an investor and you're looking in New England and it makes financial sense for you, now is the time. Because especially as rates start to tick down, it's going to start pulling buyers off the bench. So that puts in a network for, as an investor, if you, like I said, if it makes financial sense, to come off. And I mean, there's a lot of land that I'm seeing being traded on. There's a lot of rehab opportunities out there for investors. So now's a great time to start looking at Maine.
Yeah, so start putting your feelers out like yesterday is what you're saying. Like if you're looking at around the New England area.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. So what do you think the most important thing to be like, in not so much like seasonally, but like how things are trending? What do you think would be an important thing for, if let's say you're new at real estate investing, what would be an important thing to pay attention to that you see in the kind of broader market?
If people are new, and actually it's funny, I did just have a conversation with somebody who, he was a referral from these guys that I know that have done a bunch of deals from us ever since they were new to the game. And he wanted to look around Portland, which is the biggest city in Maine. And I said, and I'm renting, so I'm casually in the market because I'm looking to buy when it's right, like financially. And he said, you got to look at where the potential is. So you got to branch outside of Portland and find those suburbs that are up and coming. And especially, yes, you're going to find your one-off deals like around Sebago Lake, because everyone loves to be around a lake, especially in the summer. But maybe some areas around there. And I mean, you saying you're being from Salt Lake City, and back when I lived in Orlando, I was 13 and a half miles from my office when I lived there, but that drive took 45 minutes.
Oh,
That's not the case in Maine.
Yeah.
You can get somewhere. So people are okay with living in the suburbs, but commuting because it's not that bad.
Yeah, I've
So
heard
don't
many
think-
times 10 miles in LA is not the same thing as 10 miles in like rural Kansas or something. Like that's just not
right.
Yeah, that's not the same thing.
Yeah. So find those potentials. And phone calls are free. If you need my opinion on a property, or we've got guys that go to auction and say, hey, I'm going to this auction tomorrow, I'm looking at this property, can you give me a quick search? Yeah, as long as nothing's crazy out there, because sometimes they want to know what's on the property, but they can go on the registry and they might not be familiar with what they're looking at.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah, that's cool. So you can kind of be a little bit more of an expert in that way.
Yeah.
So do you do much real estate investing yourself, or is that not something that, and that could be personal too, not even as part of the company?
So Eventually, I will. I mean, some of my guy friends and we've talked about that. For me, most of my finances right now are going towards, I get married in June. So that's where my
Congratulations.
finances are going at.
Yeah, I
Thank
feel
you.
that.
But having been in this business for 6 years, I can see where it, it is definitely going to be worth the investment and the time and having the network around that I do, but not yet, I will say.
Gotcha. But it's in on the horizon somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha. Okay. So as far as like the as far as the growth of your business, um you I'm curious, like what are you have you expanded recently, or if are you looking to expand? What are you focused on growing at all, or are you kind of like we're content being the hometown lender? I'm curious what you'd.
You know, that is a possibility. There's a couple things at play because number one, some of these title companies they'll underwrite for First American, but also for Chicago Title and Old Republic. So this all got started back. There was a previous company that my dad and Jill and a few other business partners are part of, and it closed. And my dad and Jill decided to spin off and create what is now First Choice Title. Well, when Ken called up the one of the heads at First American in Maine at the time, named Robin Watts, she just said, "Keep going. Let us know what you need." So my dad has always operated under "you dance with who brung you," and First American got us here, so we will always underwrite for First American.
Gotcha.
Now, as far as opening other offices, if it came down to it, that's fine. But another business premise that we've always operated under is I'm okay with not being the biggest title company in Maine. I just need clients that are going to send me a majority of their business. We can give them great service from A to B. And, I'm okay operating like that. Now, if someone wants to be a part of that family, that's okay. And then if we're getting more and more clients that are sending us all their business, and for some reason we're not giving them the level of service that I think is appropriate, then maybe we do need to look at expanding or adding on to the company. But for right now, we're okay.
Yeah,
I want
sounds
to be
good.
busier. Don't get me wrong.
Who doesn't? Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, cool. So let's say someone wants to work with First Choice. What do they need to like? Where do they need to live? What do they need to have? Who's an ideal person to get in touch and work with you?
So as far as how do they contact me or like what's
No,
my
like
ideal?
if someone like well, what I'm really trying to get at is like if do you have to live in Maine to work with First Choice Title? Like that's mostly what I'm getting at.
No, if you're an investor and you find some property in Maine, even so, we're located in Gorham, which is just outside Portland, so southern Maine. But let's say, oh, I found this property and it's in, outside of Bangor. Can you help me? Yeah, we're licensed in the entire state of Maine. If we need to do mail away closings, we certainly are happy doing that. In that
Gotcha.
case, either I'd email you documents or I'd FedEx them to you. The only logistics on your end is finding a notary, which walk into any bank and you can
Yeah,
find a
sure.
notary.
That's not too
And
bad.
then in those packets, I send you a FedEx label to get everything back to me. I'll handle the recordings. I'll pay everybody. That's makes it easy. So, yeah, being out of state is not an obstacle to doing business with us or doing business in Maine.
Okay, good. I always want to clarify that because some lenders are like they work nationwide, but like only on certain properties and only on certain. So I just wanted to be like just crystal clear. Like you can work with you as long as the property's in Maine. You can live
Right.
wherever you want in the U.S. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Cool. So this has been really helpful. I think getting a little bit of behind the scenes on kind of how this works. Um, so if someone wants to work with First Choice, so they're looking at a property in Maine, anywhere from anywhere in the U.S., how can they get in touch?
Yeah, so I am on LinkedIn. So if you search Chris Lefebvre or First Choice Title, you'll see my name pop up and more than welcome to reach out to me there. You can find us at firstchoicetitleme.com, or if you search First Choice Title on Facebook, we're also on there as well.
Okay, awesome. So one last thing before we go. Thanks so much for coming on. What is your one thing that you would say to make those people, make sure those people are successful?
Yeah, I think, and I look at these two clients of mine. They just started last year, and they did 40 transactions last year. And one thing they did was, one, they hustled, but two, they built a network. Now they built with they send us most of our business, but also we've gotten to the point where phone calls are free, so I'm happy to do that. But we've also connected them with some hard money lenders when they needed hard money, or hey, we just did this property, but it needs some electrical work. We found them an electrician. Now they could have done that on their own, but if you're just getting started on the game, find a good network. I would suggest starting with a title company, but that's me being biased, and then expand on that network. So whatever obstacle you think may come down the line, you can overcome it quickly. And that's how you're going to be successful.
That is great advice. I love that. Chris, thanks again. Thanks so much for joining us. This has been delightful. And to our listeners, thanks for joining us. Go ahead and subscribe and listen for the next episode of the Real Estate Pros podcast. Catch you next time.
Yeah. Thank you, Cody. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.